Lesson 25. Last week we started reading chapter 1 of the Hatha Yoga Pradipika. We have arrived at Sutra 18, which, after the introduction, a little bit of history, introduces asana. Sutra 18. I proceed to describe some of the asanas accepted by the sages as Vasishta and yogins such as Machendra. The author, again, doesn't take credit for what he presents. He presents it as exercises, asanas that were valued by sages that are in the lineage, starting with Shiva and Machendra, the fish that became the first human being according to Indian tradition. That is a symbolical language for giving some weight to the asanas that follow here, some value. Sutra 19 then starts with the introduction of the first asana. All the asanas that are being introduced here eventually appear on our schedule in this course or in a future advanced course. Sutra 19, having correctly placed both soles of the feet between the thighs and the knees, one should sit balanced and straight-bodied. This is called Svastikasana. That is the meditation pose that you see in the illustration. It's called Svastikasana. You know what a svastika is? No? Most European people do, I think, because of the Second World War. It's actually a Hindu symbol, like the cross. The Germans rotated it 45 degrees and used it for their propaganda purposes. It's like the cross in Christianity. It has a symbolic value representing harmony, suggesting that the pose in which we meditate leads to a certain harmony. We call it Sukhasana. Sukha means easy, and you will find instruction in the Hatha Yoga Pradipika. I'm pretty sure that we will come across that very soon, where the author actually instructs the practitioner to do meditation in a comfortable pose. He doesn't name a pose. He doesn't say sit in this or that pose, like Sukhasana or Svastikasana. He said in an easy pose. Sukhasana means easy, but the implication here is that it doesn't matter how you sit as long as you sit straight. So depending on your physical condition, if Sukhasana, meaning easy pose, is not easy because it causes discomfort in the hips, lower back, the thighs, the knees, you can sit in any other posture. You could even sit on a chair to meditate if only you sit straight. So when you use a chair, you shouldn't sit passively leaning against the back of the chair. But it's better to sit straight with the hips tilted like you do in Sukhasana, the feet a little bit under the seat, so that your energy circulation accelerates. That is the purpose of sitting straight, really. Sutra 20, place the right ankle next to the left buttock and the left ankle next to the right buttock. This is Gomukhasana, and it resembles the face of a cow. It literally means cow face. Go is cow, mukha means face, and asana is the posture. This exercise in most yoga studios is done wrong. As you can see in the illustration, the lower legs are parallel, and you don't allow the feet to spread when you sit back, which means that you're floating. The strain, the tension that occurs doesn't allow you to actually sit. So it's a balancing pose. And you join the hands then behind the back. But how it is done in many yoga classes is like this. So it's very passive, and it doesn't have the effect that Gomukhasana has. The intense tension that you build, if you do it appropriately, leads to a huge rise of energy to the upper chakras. Sutra 21. Place one foot firmly on the other thigh and the right thigh on the other foot. This is a very strange description, but the illustration is correct. Virasana is the hero pose, and it goes like this. You sit, if possible, on the ground. If it is too hard, you can use a cushion, and with time reduce the support that it gives when the legs, the knees, the ankles become a little bit more cooperative. In the beginning it can be very uncomfortable because of the huge stress it puts on the ankles and the knees. But this is a pose that you could use as an alternative meditation pose. As long as you sit straight, not the hands not on the knees but on the thighs, so that the arms and the shoulders are not too tensed. And some people are more comfortable sitting in this pose than in Sukhasana, and they use it as a meditation pose. When you close your eyes and you become silent, you can clearly notice the increase of the intensity of the sound of nada in the center of your head. Sutra 22. Press the anus firmly with the ankles in opposite directions and sit well poised. This is Kurmasana according to the yogins. Kurma is a turtle, a tortoise. It's an extreme forward bend. You have we have in this, on our schedule, we have Padangusta Padahasta Uttanasana, the standing forward bend. But that pose has several variations. One of them is seated, where it is called Paschimottanasana. It will be described soon. It's a forward bend. But what you do in Kurmasana is you put your arms under your legs. And here he joins the hands behind the back. If you can't join the hands behind the back, you spread your arms. And then you straighten your legs, which forcibly folds you double, basically, so to speak. So it's an extreme forward bend, which is a little bit difficult to do, or can lead to injury if you're not yet so flexible yet in bending forward poses. Sutra 23. Assuming the Padmasana, insert the hands between the thighs and the knees, planting them firmly on the ground. Rise in the air. This is Kukutasana. Kukutasana Kukuta is a rooster. It's a very advanced pose, starting with Padmasana, so it requires that you're able to do Padmasana, and then you have to force your hands through the legs and find a way to balance on your hands. The next pose is a variation of that. Sutra 24. Assuming the Kukutasana posture, wind the arms around the neck and lie on the back like a tortoise. This is called Uttana Kurma. Uttana means stretched, stretched out, and Kurma means turtle. The next pose is described in Sutra 24, but the text is not in line with the illustration. Sutra 25, taking hold of the toes with the hands, keep one arm stretched in front and draw the other up to the ear, as if drawing a bow. This is called Dhanurasana. Dhanurasana is a bow. Dhanura is a bow. And the illustration is in fact Dhanurasana. But what is described here instructs you to do this. You grab both your big toes, and then while keeping one leg straight, you pull the other up to your ear. This is not Dhanurasana, but this is Akarna Dhanura. It resembles drawing a bow before shooting an arrow. Akarna. Karna, we have seen in the shoulder stand variations where we bring the knees to the ears after Halasana. Karna means ear. At the ear, Akarna, at the ear, Dhanura. So I don't know how that mix-up ended up. The illustration is correct for Dhanurasana, but the description is in fact Akarna Dhanura. There's also not an interpretation following the text where that is explained. Sutra 26, place the right foot at the base of the left thigh and the left foot outside the right knee. Take hold of the right foot by the left hand and the left foot by the right hand and remain with the body turned around to the left. This is the asana described by Machendra. That is the name of this pose, Machendrasana. Sutra 27, this Machendrasana, which increases appetite, you can ignore that part between square brackets here, because it's not about digestion, it's about those 3 chakras in the bottom that develop a big ball of energy that constitutes vital energy or ki or chi that you hear so often in martial arts, in Buddhism, in which I explained the meaning of Danjan 2 weeks ago. Machendra is the name of that fish that became a human being, which gives weight to the importance of the pose and the effect of the pose. And the effect of this pose is, in fact, that it leads to energy rising up through the spine to fuel the crown chakra. It leads to the generation of vital energy, the ki or chi energy. And as a result, vital energy leads to great health. So the sutra says it is a weapon that destroys all the terrible diseases of the body. With daily practice, it arouses the kundalini, which makes this a kundalini pose, and it makes the moon steady in men. Now that last part is very interesting. What does that mean? Making the moon steady in men. This is about toxic masculinity. A lot of men have that characteristic. It's very unpleasant to deal with these kind of men. They're very threatening, very overbearing, very controlling, and scary. Especially women have to deal with that a lot. But if you, as a yogi, the moon becoming steady, you develop your toxic masculinity disappears. You become milder, you become less aggressive, less inclined to control. And that is what yoga does. That is making the moon steady in men. And as a person, as a man, a male yogi, having the moon becomes steady, you experience the same kind of thing that women have to experience with these kind of men. And most men have this kind of characteristic. And it is also the reason why I'm convinced that men need yoga more than women. And traditionally in the past it was more a male affair, a thing that men engaged in India. But these days, as you know, because it has become a fashion product and very much linked to dieting and developing a slim body, it's especially popular with women. And in Korea, you even have a situation where many yoga studios are exclusive to women only. This studio is not. At the previous studio where we had classes on Saturday or Sunday, they didn't allow men. And there are many studios where that is the case. 28. This is Paschimottanasana, the seated forward bend. Stretch out both legs on the ground without bending them. And having taken hold of the toes of the feet with the hands, place the forehead upon the knees and rest thus. This is Paschimottanasana. The text like this are responsible for yoga teachers telling their members or their students to relax in the pose. Relaxing in a pose leads to tamas. So in lesson 11, where we discussed the typical characteristics of asanas and how to do it correctly, I explained that you neither relax in a pose nor be overly active in a pose. You try to find the middle way. So while ceasing all movement, you stand still in a pose, but you actively engage. So the text may have lost its nuance throughout the ages of interpretations and translations, and it has become written like that you must rest in a pose. You must never rest in a pose, because then it just loses its active proponent, which is the most important, of course. Sutra 29, this most excellent of all asanas, Paschimottanasana, makes the energy flow through Sushumna, stimulates the gastric fire, makes the loins lean, and removes all diseases of men. So this is a very simple exercise, an exercise that many people do in the gym also as a warming up, stretching, bending forward. But like the previous pose, it is being put into a category where it increases the vital energy responsible for fueling the crown chakra. And Sushumna Nadi is mentioned here, the third channel that comes into being when sattva occurs. Energy rising up through Sushumna Nadi to the upper chakras, leading to increased consciousness, awakening consciousness, and increasingly expanding consciousness. So you see also that in contrast with the asanas that were described before, all described in just one sutra, Matsyendrasana and Paschimottanasana are described in a sutra, and then there is another sutra that describes their special Kundalini effects, indicating that these seem to be more valuable even than the ones that came before, that were described only with one sutra. Sutra 30. Plant the hands firmly on the ground and support on the elbows the sides of the navel. The body raised in an elevated posture in the air like a rod. which means straight and stiff, the feet above the ground on a level with the head. This position is called Mayura, which is a peacock. It's a spectacular pose, a bit gymnastic, but it looks more difficult than it actually is. And it puts a huge strain on the abdomen, and as a result you have this effect here again of the vital energy being generated. You try to find balance on your elbows and then you straighten your body, leading to those marvelous effects that are described. You want to try it out? No? It's easier than you think. Just requires a couple of attempts, and you will see. Especially for men, usually because their intrinsic strength is bigger than for women, men usually succeed much faster than women. Sutra 31, the Mayurasana cures quickly all diseases like gulma, udara, etc., and overcomes the imbalance of the humors, namely Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. It reduces to ashes all food indiscriminately taken, kindles the gastric fire, and causes to be digested even the Kalakutta. Doing this regularly, it does lead to increased vital energy, which is the meaning of gastric fire, the fire in the belly, those three chakras. But here it does have a direct effect on the digestion also. And it is described that it reduces to ashes all food indiscriminately taken. It strengthens the digestion to such point that even harmful foods can be digested without having too much harmful effect on the person who consumed those foods. There are indeed yogis in India who want to establish their quality as a real yogi by ingesting a certain amount of poison, and just showing that it doesn't harm them shows that they are actually qualified yogis. There's an ancient tradition where yogis do various things to show that they are real, lying on a bed of nails, or walking on burning coal, or lowering their heart rate and then having themselves buried like animals who hibernate during the winter. These kind of things is not for show, as some people think, or to show off, but it is really to establish your quality as a yogi. And one of those things is ingest. It's dangerous, of course. I'm pretty sure sometimes they do harm themselves, but to prove this sutra, they ingest an amount of poison that would otherwise be harmful for people who don't practice yoga, and they do that simply to prove that they are for real as a yogi. 32, and the last one for this session. Lying on the back on the ground at full length, like a corpse, is Shavasana. Shavasana removes fatigue and induces repose of mind. Questions about the asanas? No? All right. Let's have